On today's episode of Adventures with Lomati, we're going to talk about formatting, and I'm going to go through the step-by-step process on how I formatted The God Queen, both in ebook and in paperback. And let me tell you, I'm in love. So stick around and find out why. Hello, Lieblinge, I'm Mari, author of the space opera The God Queen, who's been living in southern Germany since 2014. Today we're going to talk about formatting, which is the bane of every indie author's existence. But it doesn't necessarily have to be, and I'm going to tell you why. But before we get started, hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. That lets YouTube know that you like this channel and you want more content like this. Here on Adventures of Lomati, we talk about writing, living abroad, and everything in between. So first let me say that this topic was suggested to me by iWriter Lise Meg Latour. She is actually in the beginning steps of her own self-publishing journey and requested a video just like this, so I am more than happy to oblige. I also have to note that I'm not getting paid for this episode. I'm using the program Vellum, FYI. Surprise, that's what this video is about, if you haven't read the title. I'm not getting paid. I was just very happy with it, and I thought it would be a good, useful tool for other authors out there who want to try to navigate through Vellum. That's what I'm here for. Why do I love Vellum? To be honest, it's rather idiot-proof, to be honest. It's very simple, and I really only ever needed to print one proof to see whether or not anything needed to be changed or fixed, and the error that I discovered through that one print was my fault. What happened was I'd actually printed the margins to be too small. I don't know if you can we tell here? Am I giving you a spoiler here? Let's start answering in the beginning, yeah? All right, can we, you see how close that is to the margin? How small that is? Yeah, it didn't look so good. As opposed to finished copy, you see there's more space. My husband referred to it as, if you can fit your thumb here and not cover the words, then that's a good margin space. And it's actually the auto setting on Vellum, and I thought I knew better, and actually Vellum knows what they're doing, so just leave that, it's fine. The margins are fine. Even though Vellum is, like I said, rather idiot-proof, there are some creative limitations, and I am going to go through the step-by-step process by reformatting the God Queen for you, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So let's get started.
So here we have Vellum. As you can see, I have done the God Queen numerous times with this program, and we will import these files. You are able to import with a normal Windows document. Vellum really tries hard to make things easier. And as you can see, it automatically divides all of your chapters, as well as, in my case, parts, title page, and copyright. It's very smart. It knows automatically where everything is and where it should be, which is awesome. So let's go from the beginning. So we have contents here. We have the book. Obviously, it's not just my book. You do the title and the author information, as well as the ebook cover. Here, I have gone ahead and made a cover for my ARC copies. It was just literally with a little sticker here I added. It was just something special that I was able to do, which is one of the reasons why I love Vellum, because you can literally format and make any and every type of copy of your book as you'd like. I utilize this to the full advantage, not just for my official e-copy, but also this ARC. As you can see here, it says cover image satisfies requirements. It will tell you if it doesn't. And it also tells you what they recommend. So if you need to resize it or whatever, you know what you need to do. So now that we have the title and the author, let's look at the styles. So book styles, there's a lot, man. There is a lot. You have pseudo, Oxford. You have about 8 different styles. This is just for the overall book, which includes, of course, chapter title and whether or not you do a drop cap or something ornamental. I actually used Oxford for mine, but if you're doing sci-fi, you can also use pseudo. So now we go to header, which is what you would call, the chapter title. And obviously for sci-fi, these are great, but I wanted to do something special. I actually wanted this chapter title font to match the title of my book. But I will get back into how I did that afterwards. But let's go to the first paragraph. Well, the important thing for me is I wanted to do a drop cap, which from what I've seen from other indie author friends who have tried to format it themselves, the drop cap is a pain in the butt. So it's one of the things I love about Vellum because it makes it automatic and it's beautiful, and I'm so happy with it. But one thing to keep in mind, this is definitely dependent on the style that you use. When I used Oxford, I discovered that I could not use quotations before this drop cap. With Pseudo, you can. But I've also checked with other traditionally published books, such as Amid Stars and Darkness by Chani Lynn Feener. And when a chapter began with the quote, she also, the publisher also omitted the quotation marks in the beginning. So if, it depends on the style that you use. The reason for this is because sometimes that quotation marks makes it actually goes outside of the margin. And if it's outside of the margin, Amazon will not, and I repeat, will not accept your manuscript. So that is something to keep in mind. If you've done the drop cap and you have the quote and you plug it into KDP and it complains because something about your margins, that could be one of the troubleshooting things you have to keep in mind. So in the end, I did not have that, but with Pseudo, I will show you in a moment that it is possible. Then you can also look here, there's a paragraph after break, how that will look, or if you want an ornamental break, you can, custom image, that is new. Oh, this is glorious. So this is something you can do. You can add some, this is very new. When I was actually working on the God Queen, this was not an option. So this is awesome. Block quotes, how that's going to look, or if you have a verse or a photograph, portrait, caption, whatever, header, footer, this is something to keep in mind how this is going to look. Whether the book title, and this is chapter, just FYI, if you see random things in German, it's because I am working on my husband's German Mac. Vellum is a Mac program, not a PC, and I do not own a Mac. So some things will show up in German. It's not a big deal. Kapitel means chapter. But you can choose how you want it to look. If you want the author and the book title and the page numbers here, it's pretty awesome. I love Vellum for this option. And then you also have the body itself. Here, the print edition font. The ebook, of course, is something, general because people can usually choose what font they want. It's all in the programming. But the print edition, you can decide how you want it to look. And this is, important. Let's go here to chapter 2, for example, and go back to style so we can see how this looks. You can do, how indicate paragraphs with an indentation or with a space, or you could justify the text, allow hyphenation. And then you have these font options. I went with Fanwood. Also, this is something you also need to keep in mind. Sometimes the R's, or I think even I know it's with the R's a few times it's been a problem. Sometimes just the way the font is, the R somehow also goes outside of the allotted margin limits from Amazon, and that was also a huge pain in the butt. So sometimes you may have to go back and play with the font a little bit, but it will work. It will work. I promise you guys. So anyway, we have the styles. You can play with this all you want and how you want the overall book to look. And once you're done with that, then we go to the contents itself. So let's start with the title page. So we have here this title page, which is, pretty cool. Pretty cool. I personally think it's too simple. So I actually wanted to do a full page image. So here we go to this gear and add element, and we go down here to full page image. So one thing to keep in mind is that a full page image on Vellum is actually not a full page. So it is technically a full page for like your e-reader. Here up in this little icon, you can actually see how it's going to look on a Paperwhite or an iPad or, print itself. And problem with print is that you will have a border. You probably have noticed here by the ebook cover, there is a border. That is the same thing's going to happen here with your full page image. So I recommend that if you want to do an image like this, this is one of the things with Vellum that's a little lacking, but yeah, first world problems, honestly. If you want something like this, just keep in mind that you will have this white border, and yeah, you'll be fine otherwise. So you have this full page. Bring this up here. We're going to rename it. We're going to call it title page. this so I know the difference between the two. And so we have this title page, which I don't want. So we'll go back to this gear and we say remove title page, gone, goodbye. So now we're at the copyright page. Here, this was from the Word document. You can edit it, and this weird editing thing. You just work with however you want it to look. It will, make it prettier. Some of the formatting it just kind of automatically takes from Word, and you can just work with it and make sure it looks all pretty. Here at the bottom you have this check mark for include, created with Vellum. That is not necessary. I did not do that. This is absolutely up to you if you want to include Vellum in your book notes. You're not going to be punished if you take it out, FYI. But here you can edit it all you want. Like at the time that I created the Word document, I didn't have the ISBN numbers, but then of course once I had Vellum, I did, and so I was able to add the numbers here. You do whatever you want. So the next part here is content. So your table of contents is automatically generated for your ebook. And here it says include. Every section here has this little include. You can, whether you want the contents or this untitled bit here, over here, or the chapters. There's a specific chapter for some reason you want to include in just the ebook version as opposed to just the print. You can decide that. So like I said, the table of contents is automatically in the ebook version, and unless you really want to have the table of contents in your print version, you don't necessarily have to have it. I don't. My chapters don't have special names. There's nothing really special that is necessary in a printed version, so I've left it out. And as you can see here, this little icon that tells you that it is only in the e-reader version or the ebook version. And like I said, it's automatically generated with the names and everything. And then so this untitled here, which is the next section we're going to, is the parts. So the God Queen is divided into parts. And obviously this looks like crap. So we're going to add another full page image that I created. So again, this is going with the whole full page is not a full page. I actually wanted this nebula image to take up the entire page, and then with the part 1, the woman. And since that was not possible without that ugly white border, I did a workaround. So the hexagon is an image that is used. It is mentioned briefly in the God Queen, and it will be more visible in subsequent books. So I decided to go with it. And as you can see here, I used the same font as the title. So this is something to keep in mind when you are working with a professional cover designer. Talk to them about what font they used for your title, because that is supposed to be kind of your brand, and to see if they can get it to you or if they can recommend a free font that is comparable, so that your chapter headings and your part title headings, images, they all match your cover. So it all kind of like, it's one cohesive work. So here we'll call this part 1, the women. And we'll click and drag this bad boy up here. So now we will get rid of this untitled, this unseemly untitledness. All right, now we're going to go to the chapters. So this sort of font works perfectly fine in science fiction. That's great. Like I said, I wanted to do a font, or I wanted to that my chapter headings matched the title of my book. So what I had to do was actually create an image. So what we're going to do first is hide the heading so that what is there is no longer there. We'll put the cursor here before the, and we're going to add an image. So I actually had to do all of this beforehand, and there are 55 chapters in the God Queen, and yes, I made 55 chapter headings. As you can see here, I made this cool looking cloud image. My original idea was that whenever somebody wanted to read in a darker format through Kindle or whatever, instead of just seeing a white box, you would see this cool cloud thing. Unfortunately, that did not work. And I will explain this later when we go back to my face. I will show you what I'm talking about. Unfortunately, so if you want to try something like this, it's not going to work. It will just show up as a white square. So as you can see, it's here. It's great. Woohoo! It's a little small. And you have this exclamation point, and that's telling you that there isn't something missing, essentially. So here you can, what kind of photograph it is, a freestanding book cover, whatever, and the size. So then here I go for the biggest size. And I found out the size through trial and error. I will have to get back to you on what the actual size for this is, and I will put it down below. Once I discovered what the appropriate size was, then I made sure that I just made one white image and then made the chapter titles and then, just saved. This is something also to keep in mind when you're creating the chapter titles. You want to make sure that the actual font is the same size. So you need to keep in mind how you want to do it. In other example, like smaller sample sizes of the God Queen that I have put out, I actually did write out 1 and 2 and 3. But once you start getting up to higher numbers like 55, then it gets a little longer. And then you have to worry about what the overall font size is going to be, which is why in the end I just went with writing out the numbers. So then it didn't really matter. But this is something to keep in mind when you're creating your chapter headers. So back to this, as you can see, I made it, the biggest size, which is, selected size is valid for this image. I had already figured that out before. And it's still requiring a description. I'm not entirely sure why it requires this, but it always does. So I always just write whatever it is, chapter 1, and they get the green check mark, and we are back. There's no more exclamation point, and you have this lovely chapter header. And then, you just go through and you do it for every chapter in your book. It is just as fun as it sounds. I'm kidding, it's not. But it is rather mindless work. You can do this while watching television. I know, because that's what I did when I was doing all 55 chapters. It's so much fun. I'm really grateful that I did this because, it looks so awesome. I'm just pleased with it. I loved how it turned out. This is something that you have to make as a decision on your own, or you can just use what is already there. So we'll just show the heading again. So you can use what's there, what they give you, especially when you're first starting out and you're worried about the this sort of detail. That's totally fine. This is in the end, this is your book, guys. So you gotta decide what is best for you and for your book baby. And for me, I wanted my chapter headings to match my title. But using this image idea, you could really play with it. I would have liked to do something more along the lines of A Spark of White Fire by Sangu Mandana. She used the ship from her cover in conjunction with the chapter heading, and it looks really cool. And that's something using this format, you can do more than just make the chapter heading with the right font. You can add imagery to it. You can do a lot of stuff with it, but that's how you would do it with Vellum. So once you've gone through, I'm not going to go through all of this. I'm not going to bore y'all. Then you can add other things like the Danksagung, also known as acknowledgements. Here you can say, thank you. Oops. Sorry, I'm using a German keyboard. Thank you to all my peeps. I love you. So you write whatever you want. It's all great. It's great. So, and then after that, you would then author, or about the author. This is, oh man, the last time I tried doing this is really funny. It said this is M's 17th book. Now it says M's. Why do you have to tell the truth, man? So here you write, your about the author section, and you talk about to learn more about the world of the God Queen, check out Tishner.com. So cool thing about this is you can actually take this text and you can add a link. So this is great for your e-reader copy, or for the iPad or whatever, and your reader, if they see this and they're like, you can also use this for your newsletter, guys. Hint, hint. So your reader can actually click on the link and it will go straight to your newsletter, which is pretty sweet. And don't forget to add, an image. So we're going to add mine here. You can add oh, yes. So don't forget me. So yeah, write whatever you want. You can also, make this image a little smaller, say, for example, if you want to have more space. Like for me, it was very important to have my about the author just be one page. And then you can also, where was it? This. You can also decide how you want. Where do you want this? And so if you have like, la, 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 is this going to show up? No, it's going to look weird. But you can just play with this and make your author page look the way you want it. One of the coolest aspects of Vellum is here under social media. So here you can add your username. So let's go with, so you have to type out the whole HTTP, facebook.com, and I can type my name. So as you see here in this e-reader, actually I'm going to make this one too, so you can see how it looks. Twitter.com. So you see these two icons, which is just so cool. So this is also for your readers. So whenever they finish reading your book and they see about the author, they can click on these icons and it will take them straight to your Facebook page or your Twitter page, or look, you have Amazon, BookBub, Goodreads, and YouTube. So for your YouTubers out there, you can have them go directly to your YouTube channel, which is pretty sweet. Here you also have the print edition. And the reason why it's important to make sure that this is correctly typed out, because when we go to print, this says show icons, but we want show icons and links. This is great for the print edition because then you have the actual address. So your readers, if they just have the print version, they can still go and type it in and find you. This is just brilliant. I love Vellum because of this tool. It's it's one thing that being able to format with so much ease, but being able to do this level of programming when you're not a programmer like myself, it's pretty glorious. I love it. So your book is done. What do you do now? Now you can generate it. So, oh yeah, we want to save it. Of course we want to save it. So we're just going to call it the God Queen, and it's telling me that it exists already. Ignore that because I was playing with this earlier. So now we have this beautiful tab. So generate for print only. Actually, we want for all of it. So you click everything that you want. And this is important to know, for example, if you are doing something different for your print than with your ebooks. So this allows you to kind of, to separate them. So now, before we continue, we want to go to the print settings real quick. This is also very important. So this is where you actually decide how big your book is going to be. And you also have more options. You can do a lot. And this is in inches. You can decide in centimeters. So of course, God Queen is 5x8. The inside margins, it is in inches. Zoll is inch in German, by the way. So this is the automatic inside margin. And the outside margin, this, I had made a mention that I needed only one proof to see how well Vellum worked with formatting, and it was because of this outside margin that I decided to change. I ignored this auto because I thought I knew better, and the margins didn't look so great. I will show you what I'm talking about later. Just leave it, promise me, just leave it. And then you can also do font size. So, you can make it a little smaller, or you can make it a little bigger. And as you can see, it actually counts the number of pages in your book. So you will know automatically how many pages your book is, which is awesome. Great. Also, you can do line spacing, whether you want less or if you want more. This is all stuff that you can just play with. This is the cool thing about Vellum is that there are some limitations, but I'm glad for those because it can be really easy to be overwhelmed because there's already enough that you can do with this without adding more to the mix. So So now that we're done, we have what we want. Yay! And then we continue, and it asks, okay, generate for everything, and then you can choose what folder. And so, yes, YouTube, since this is my sample for you guys, and then we generate. Print takes a little bit longer. Keep going. Almost there. Almost there. So everything is generated. So the next thing we need to do is to check the printed version. Because you want to make sure that the gutters are where they need to be. So the cover page here should be on the right-hand side when you open the book, and that means the gutter needs to be on the left-hand side. You can see a little better in this preview. You see it's a little bit more to the right than it is, centered. And here it's a little bit more to the left. Here's to the right. And then this is a blank page because, this is to the right, and then the first chapter 1 also needs to be on the right-hand side. So this is supposed to be, the blank. And as you can see, there is more gutter space here on this side, more here on the right-hand side. And so here the gutters are correct. And you can also see how this looks on the top. Remember I told you I used Oxford instead of pseudo, and this is how it would look like on the top. And then, with my name and everything. And yeah, I'm just super pleased with how this turned out. Love it, love it, love it. So yeah, that is what it's like to work with Vellum. So before I go, I'm going to put the price of Vellum on the screen. And also just an FYI, this was done on a 2012 Mac. And as you can see, it still works brilliantly. So you don't necessarily need a new Mac for this. But if you don't have one, I will also put down a link below for a program that you can download onto your PC that essentially allows you to rent Mac space so that you can use Vellum on your PC. And that is it for Vellum. So let's go on back to the studio.
So once you have all that finished, you will find that formatting between Amazon and Ingram is actually the same. So what's great about that is that you can use Amazon since it's free. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can check out my video on the differences between Amazon and Ingram, but long story short, Amazon is free. So you can, especially when uploading corrections, so do everything with formatting through Amazon. You can check however you want. They also have a really good Kindle previewer. And once that's, good and ready to go, the format will just take that format over to Ingram Spark, and you really only have to print like one proof to make sure that everything looks great. I was very happy. This was the first proof I got from Ingram, and it is actually the exact same as the final product, so it's great. I previously mentioned that you could use the Kindle previewer to check your ebook, but in my opinion, there's a better way of doing it. See, I actually have a Paperwhite and an iPad, and I have Kindle on both. So just so you know, every Kindle that is registered has its own email address. Now I actually have notes here on where to find it, and I'll put like images on where you can find that on your Amazon account. So you need to go to your account. Then I have my phone here. Then devices and content, manage devices, and then devices, which is right next to content. And you'll see the whole list of all your Kindles that are registered, whether it's on your phone or an iPad or on a computer or whatever. And there's a little ellipse button. You click on that and it'll give you like another little info field, and there you'll see the email for that device or for that account. And all you have to do is then email that Mobi file to that email, and it will show up on your Kindle. See? Ta-da! Ta-da! In black and white, so you can see how it looks. La la la. Pretty, pretty. Oh, come on. Yeah, it looks great. Love it. And through here as well. Oops. No. So I had mentioned before with wanting to do the title page with that cool pink file, because if you had it on black, let's see, or like dark, I wanted it to look like a cloud. But as you can see, it's not a cloud. It will always just be a square. So FYI, when you're doing your images of your chapters, that's how it's going to look. So if you want to do something fun with it, that's not really going to happen. Again, creative limitations, but that's okay. It's a small thing, but ta-da! That's how that looks. And that's all I have for today. So thanks for joining me. If you're new here, please consider subscribing and hit that like button. You can leave a comment below. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or if there's any other topic you would like to see on this channel. The God Queen is available in both ebook and paperback. I have the links below. And don't forget to connect with me on social media, whether it's through Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. Also, check out my newsletter, where you will get the most up-to-date information on books, projects, pugs, and giveaways. Just for subscribing, you'll get a free character sheet to use, as well as the first 6 chapters of my debut space opera, The God Queen. And that's all I've got for today. Until next time, adi!